Welcome to the Tesla Power Podcast. This is where we're building the Tesla energy community. We're covering solar panels, solar roof, Powerwall for your home. I'm Aaron Brady. Today, let's talk about space heaters. Let's talk about Powerwall price reductions, potentially. Let's talk about lowering consumption versus adding production. And let's talk about adding to a Tesla solar roof and a lot more. Let's do it. So as per usual, we'll kick off the pod with community input. You can participate in tons of ways. You can leave a comment below. You can link your YouTube videos. You can call 203-816-5150, or you can email teslapowerpodcast@gmail.com. For the bold and ambitious, you can record an unlisted video question in the YouTube app. Send a link. I'll put your video question in the show. First up, Scott gives details he learned from his span electrical panel. Quote, Aaron, thanks for the response. Using span history function, I figured out where a chunk of the energy usage was coming from. My wife has a space heater she likes to use in our TV room when she's watching TV and sewing. I was surprised how much the space heater uses. On a milder day like today, it's used as much electricity as the heat pump, end quote. I mean, I wonder if a cashmere sweater might be cheaper than running that space heater. I mean, maybe a nice microfiber bathrobe, a pair of alpaca socks, one for every day of the week, changing colors with the seasons. I mean, that all might be a better deal. It's really remarkable how much electricity resistive heating requires, and a space heater that uses more than your heat pump? It just sounds crazy. I mean, it might be worth turning up the temp. I don't know, checking your insulation to make sure that you can take that space heater out of service. That's just insanity. Next up, Nexusly notes that they just got a rebate on their Tesla Powerwall or their whole Tesla solar system. Let's read it. Quote, I just got an email. I'm receiving $7.3 thousand back in price reduction. I got a free Powerwall 2 Plus because of the price hike back then and upgraded kilowatt hour system. Expect a price reduction. This is great news for anyone with last gen panels that accepted price increases, end quote. And that's pretty great. I mean, I'm curious, did they just offer that up, or were you asking for that rebate in some way? I would have expected one if it were me. Certainly I did, when I got my Tesla solar roof. I don't think this really means that price reductions are coming for everybody else. Definitely I won't be getting one, as I already got them to honor my original pricing for a project. And I mean, current inflation, it's going to make it really hard to reduce prices, even if Tesla has been successful in driving down the cost to produce and install Tesla Solar. I mean, further that, cell constraint, that's got to be keeping prices high, just in an effort to make sure that they can keep waiting times reasonable. But I'm really super glad, honestly, to hear that you're getting a free Powerwall. Let us know if you asked for that or if they were offering it without prompting. I'd really be interested to know. And then Brian Swails, he's got a question. He is thinking about lowering his consumption before, maybe he thinks that maybe lowering consumption first might be the better option, right? Rather than just going ahead and getting solar first. Let's read his note. Quote, I'm not satisfied with the actual bills I've received since moving into my home 6 months ago. I started to get quotes for solar, and I'm thinking now I should pause for a bit, change out the inefficient systems, electric baseboard heating, and get more actual bills before I pull the trigger, end quote. And I wonder what you might find the replacement system costs. So if you already have central air conditioner, it might make total sense to put in a heat pump. It's going to both cool and heat your home. That would reduce your use and allow you to put in a smaller solar system. That would still cover all of your electricity needs. But a couple of things to consider. Number one, replacing your baseboard heating might be more expensive than solar would cost if you have to add air ducts to your house. So if this is the case, it might make more sense, maybe, right, to go solar first to get the reduction in electricity that you need to purchase from the grid, right? Lower your electricity bill, maybe that makes more sense. And then the other thing is you may start with the solar size for your current usage, because most households, they find that their usage goes up as they add, electronic devices, cars, right? And there's other things, maybe in addition to the house. And even if you reduce your electric usage for heating, you may still end up using that additional capacity for other things. But the problem is you'll have already committed to that smaller solar system, and adding to a solar system can be a lot more complicated, maybe a lot more costly. So even if you don't, just in the best case scenario, if you don't end up using that additional electric capacity, you should be able to use that excess capacity to provide like grid services, demand response, frequency regulation, things like that. Those things can make you money as the grid upgrades around you, right? So maybe your local facility can't take in your electricity to regulate frequency, or they can't take in your electricity to compensate for demand requirements at peak times. But as those grids start to modernize and as regulations start including residential participants, you should be able to make money off of your investment. So, I mean, honestly, you should check it out now because you may already be able to participate. But let us know what you decide to do. It'll be super helpful to like follow your process. And if you share it with the community, all of us can learn from your experience. Next up, we've got Junzong. He's back. He's got an update on his system. He got a visit from Tesla. Let's check it out. Quote. This is all the way at the bottom, I think. Yep. Tesla Power Podcast. Today, Tesla Tech came back. They checked the inverter. It failed. And now we have to wait on them to schedule to replace the inverter. End quote. I don't know. I mean, that's super painful. What can I say? The hope is that Tesla can, kind of pre-diagnose this stuff. I know that you were able to put your inverter on your Wi-Fi network, so they should have at least been able to see what was going on with the inverter remotely. Even if they couldn't do that, they should have brought an inverter with them, right? So I really hope that they use this as a learning experience. Keep us posted, though. We want to know how long it takes them to resolve this and if they're able to learn from their mistakes. So thank you to Scott, Nexusly, Brian Swails, and Junzong for all of your input. Let's hear from the rest of you, too. Send in your YouTube links, comment below, call 203-816-5150, or you can email teslapowerpodcast@gmail.com. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the news. So this week we have 5 stories to cover. First up, we have one from Solar Builder magazine. They report on a potential post-net metering world. Let's read their article. Quote, "The value of solar is always in some state of flux. Utilities, regulators, and politicians set rates and device incentives, and solar pros and customers adjust accordingly. The NEM 3.0, that's the Net Energy Metering 3.0 proposed decision in California, is the most sobering example yet, featuring a hike in solar customer fees and reduced payback incentives to the point that Sage Energy Consulting says ROI would no longer work out for customers. This glimpse at one potential post-net metering future prompted us to think about the next impactful solar value driver on the horizon, the rise of electric vehicles," end quote. And they point out 3 things about the adoption of EVs that will drive solar and accessories for the home. First, customers will want to charge their vehicle on sunshine, effectively giving them free gas, right? Free fuel for their vehicle. The second is they'll want to put in level 2 EV chargers in their home, and possibly they'll want those to be bi-directional chargers, not just charge the car, but be able to pull electricity out of the car for the home. And then the third is that most will probably need to upgrade their electrical panel. Of course, there's a bit of a question if a home battery is going to be needed if you have an electric car and a bi-directional charger. Let's think of a couple of things, right? So if you and your spouse are at work when the home loses power and you have no EV at home, you're going to be out of luck. And I mean, what happens if you need to drive your car when the grid's down? So I hold the opinion that you'll want a dedicated battery for your home. It's a lot like all your electronic devices, right? You don't have a shared battery for all your electronic devices. You want them to be wireless. You want them to be independent of the battery. Or you want them to have their own dedicated battery that you can take with you, right? So bidirectional charging is interesting, but I think it's going to matter way less over time, especially as batteries and accessories get cheaper and more available. What they don't point out in this article that I believe will be a driver for solar adoption as much as EVs are expected to is the move to electrical heating. At the moment, it appears that we're going to move from electrical resistive heating to heat pumps. But we've discussed other things like microwave replacements for gas furnaces and water heaters, as well as many of you have electric water heaters and baseboard electric heating already. So it's these home services that are probably going to help drive solar adoption along with EVs, even after net metering is gone. Next up, we've got an article from Electrek. They point out that Tesla Solar's price has increased pretty significantly. Let's read what they have to say. Quote, Tesla had recently achieved the lowest price in the industry in 2020 with several updates to its solar panel business, including a new price match policy. And at the time, the company was claiming a price of just $1.96 per watt. The prices have crept up over the last year, but several potential buyers have notified us of a big price increase that appears to have been adopted by Tesla over the last week. Pricing a system in Southern California right now results in a price of $2.31 per watt, end quote. Honestly, that's really not that much. That's only about 15%. Any price increase is unexpected because solar is definitely the cheapest way to go. The price of solar panels has been dropping precipitously. The problem is, of course, labor and import tariffs. But I've already argued that Tesla isn't a cut rate product, and it really should be playing in the premium pool. I'm absolutely in favor of affordable solar, but the Tesla experience is premium, and the products are simply unmatched. The fact that you're also able to get them at the lowest price is really a wonder to me. Even though inflation is driving prices up, the value is still excellent. And when you pair it with battery storage, you're able to drive on sunshine and potentially be independent of the grid. All of that while saving money. I mean, it still sounds like a winning proposition to me. All right, we're about to get a Tesla app update. And let's see what Teslarati says about what we'll be getting in terms of residential energy features in that new update. Full screen, quote, Tesla Powerwall and solar settings. The Tesla mobile app's version 4.7.0 release notes indicate that users now have the ability to reorganize their Powerwall and solar settings. The update includes additional information related to Stormwatch as well. The app also lists individual events and lets users opt out of recharging their Powerwalls using energy from the grid, end quote. Now, I don't yet have that update, so nothing for us to take a look at in the app at the moment. We'll dig into it once the update pushes to me. But I love that Tesla products get better even after you purchase them. I mean, this is yet another example. Next up, we've got an article from Clean Technica. They report on a U.S. government initiative to increase the battery labor force. Let's see what they've got to say. It's interesting. Quote, the U.S. Department of Energy, DOE, in coordination with the U.S. Department of Labor and the AFL-CIO, today announced the launch of a national workforce development strategy for lithium battery manufacturing. As part of a $5 million investment, DOE will support up to 5 pilot training programs in energy and automotive communities and advance workforce partnerships between industry and labor for the domestic lithium battery supply chain, end quote. What I like about this is that the U.S. is taking a strategic approach to the new energy future rather than just waiting for it to happen on its own, which I really quite like, right? It's the market approach. They're anticipating it. They are working to train a labor force to support that economy before it's here. And what I want to see is incentives for battery production, and this is part of that incentive I want to see, right? It really pairs nicely with our next story. Let's bring that up. This comes from Drive Tesla Canada. They report on a new CATL battery factory in North America. Let's read what they've got to say. Quote, as per reporting by Bloomberg, the company is considering sites for a massive $5 billion plant. The facility would eventually employ as many as 10,000 workers and supply multiple companies with EV batteries. Executives from CATL traveled to Mexico earlier this month. The company is also considering sites in the United States and Canada, but has concerns about prospective labor force and trade issues. And quote, these investments, they're late, make no mistake, but they need to happen. And I love to read that they're at least making progress. Without any incentives, I might add. With incentives, we could make even faster progress. All right, let's take another quick break. When we come back, we'll check out the featured video. All right, tip of the cap to Kevin Giasulo, who sent this link. Weddle and Sons, they have a video that shows how easy it is to upgrade the Tesla Solar roof. Let's take a look.
One of the coolest things about Solar Roof is that it has the ability to expand in the future, and this was the perfect example to demonstrate just how that works. We've got our Solar Roof installers, Brian and Micah, on this project, and they're making it look super easy. They pop out the old dummy tiles and swap them out for fresh, new photovoltaic tiles. As they're installing them, they're also adding them into the main electric lines that feed power into the house. Not to mention that if a tile is damaged or broken, we can easily swap out the old tile for the new one in the same way that you're seeing here.
And I'm making no secret of my intention to upgrade my roof at some point. I produce only about 40% of the electricity I need at the moment, so upgrading to more efficient shingles probably makes sense at some point. I am going to let this system pay for itself first, right? Plus, there's tons of room for me to reduce consumption through, more efficient HVAC, replacing the pool pump, other stuff like that. Now, let's take a look at production. I would say over the last few days, it's been pretty choppy. I wouldn't say that it's been, the most amazing production curves I've ever seen, but let's take a look at what we are producing these days. Just getting the stream going. There we go. You can see for today, not a bad curve, right? We produced a record so far this year anyway, 50 kilowatt hours of electricity. Of course, yesterday was only 16 and 46. I mean, that's not bad, but this day was 26 kilowatt hours. Just not amazing. Overall, though, I would say we're doing pretty well. Let's compare it with my brother-in-law's system. He's got his system today producing 63 kilowatt hours. That's really tremendous. I mean, he's outproducing me pretty handily at the moment, though we should catch up when the sun gets high enough to start producing electricity on the back of the roof. Let's see what they're doing this month. That's 796, almost 800 kilowatt hours for the month. If we go back to our app here and change it to the month, we are at 685. So almost, well, I'd say 100 kilowatt hours of production behind. That's really only 2 days now that we're producing 50 kilowatt hours a day. It's not bad. The last thing I want to mention, though, is our conversation with a home appraiser. I intended to get the home reappraised now that we have the Tesla Solar roof and the Powerwalls. She had bad news for me, unfortunately. Let's pull up her email. She says, quote, Aaron, I can tell you that most of the appraisers I know are not giving value at all to solar at this time. We've not seen a market reaction to solar in most markets. And without a paired sales warranted adjustment, it's hard to assign a value. I've seen that some buyers do not want solar, so hopefully that helps, end quote. And this is pretty disappointing, not going to lie. Personally, I'm happy to realize the value myself. I don't plan on moving anytime soon. I don't really need to sell someone else on that value. I would love, though, to find someone that had put a solar roof on a house and then sold it. Even better, I'd love to know if the buyers found any added value with those products on the home. But I don't know. What do you think? Would you pay a premium for a home with Tesla solar roof and batteries? Put a comment below. And that'll do it for episode 51 of the Tesla Power Podcast. Please use my referral code. You'll save $500 on a solar roof, $300 on solar panels. You can go to ts.la/Aaron62310 to place your order. And I'm Aaron Brady, your Tesla residential energy community organizer. Let's do this again on the next video.